Okay, hello everybody. Hello. My name is Michael O'Keefe, aka the Movie Mystic. I just got back from Montreal for the second time yesterday. So I think I'm done. I was thinking about, I was thinking about going back, um, tomorrow for a day, but I think that's not gonna happen. I think I'm a little too tired. Vacation's basically almost done, so I had a great time. So 7 nights in Montreal, 5 nights, then 2 nights back in Ottawa, then 2 nights back in Montreal. I think it's over, man. Anyways, we're talking about Kier-La Janisse and the House of Psychotic Women, and this is also the debut of uh, Mystic and Severe Book Club. So I've got more of these that I could do in the future. Uh, I took quotes from this book because I got a PDF of it about a month ago or so, maybe just over a month. I don't quite remember. And I read it. I put aside the book that I was reading, and I consumed this. I read it. I read the first half. It took a little bit, and then the second half I got through pretty quickly. The first half is the biography part, the autobiography part of Kier-La Janisse. Film critic, programmer, now documentarian. And then the second part are movie reviews. But there are a lot of reviews in the first half, which is what I'm going to be focusing on this stream. So, what makes this book right here, House of Psychotic Woman, unique is that it's an autobiography of Kier-La Janisse, but it's analogous. The things that you learn about in her life, she relates back to horror movies or genre movies, specifically movies to do with neurotic women, and horror movies to do with neurotic women. So that's the first bit of it, and then the second bit is film reviews. So those were a lot of fun to read, but I didn't quote any of those. Basically, I went through the autobiography section and I looked at some things that stood out to me that of particular interest, and either straight out reviews where you can't really see what's going on, or things interwoven with her real life. So, okay. I'm on 7films.com as well because I want to show you there's a box set. These movies are screening at Fantasia. The first one is this one, Identikit, which is Liz Taylor later in life doing an Italian movie, being neurotic. Look at that. One of Taylor's single most berserk performances since no one could breathe. The crazy like Lala's, never heard that before. That is really saying something. Why isn't this cuckoo pop's crazy film better now? I don't know. I didn't know about it until Kayla's talked about it too. So here we are. This is the first one that's playing today, and it's like so at this screening that's at the Quebec Cinematheque. Is that what it's called? Oh no, it's not. It's at this theater. Okay, so that's the Concordia. So she's going to be signing books. You can hang out. She's going to launch the book. This is the first time you can see this new book. The book did launch at the festival 10 years ago, but this is revamped with new reviews. A lot of them are movies since the book came out. And a lot of them are Fantasia movies, too. And so, yeah, there are some other ones. I'll just go through this. Why not? We're just hanging out. Come on. There we go. 25th. These are all movies reviewed in the book, too. Yeah. So this one looks really cool. I don't believe this is in the new box set, though. So these movies that are sitting here in the box set, and they showed them off right here. But let's see. Probably we'll start here. Come on. We're going to see it quickly. Oh, here we go. So that's what it is. Identikit, I Like Bats, Footprints, and the other side of the underneath. So these three are playing, and then this one was in the folk horror set, but it deals with a neurotic woman. So there we go. That's a great poster, huh? I haven't seen any of these movies. I'm not gonna lie. There'll be a poser. So that one's playing yesterday. This is why I wanted to go to Montreal tomorrow. I do want to see The Artifice Girl. I was going to try to book it, see The Artifice Girl, and then hang out, do my interview that's scheduled for tomorrow, and then see El Demonia, followed by I Like Bats, which is Polish. El Demonio is Italian. This is Polish. They look cool. Yeah, so it's a Cinémathèque Québécoise, which is also where so it's El Demonio and then I Like Bats. So, and then there we go. There's this movie, and then there's, I believe, two other ones. I want to get this right though. Here we go. Tuesday. So we saw Footprints on the Seven Film site. And you can watch that on Tuesday. If you're in Montreal, you can see it on the big screen. You can see it at the Cinémathèque Québécoise at 9 p.m. And yeah, so this is directed by Luigi Bassoni. Maybe you've seen The Fifth Chord, his Giallo, starring Franco Nero. I think this one, so it's a weird Giallo too. You know, Franco Nero says nice things about this guy, so The Fifth Chord's sweet. You know, I imagine this one is good too. Footprints. I'm sort of waiting it right now. I know there's one more. I was talking to David Gregory the other day. He is the Seven Films Big Cheese. And he told me the name of the movie, which, okay, so it's not Wednesday. Maybe it's Thursday. Is that it? That could be it. Let's see. Oh, so this is it. Good. Because I was kind of guessing. So this is a Thursday. So the Kier-La Janisse, she won the Canadian Trailblazer Award on Friday, where she had a 3-hour conversation with a podcaster, Bill Ackerman, I believe his name is. And then today you get the Liz Taylor movie. Tomorrow you get the double bill, El Demonia and I Like Bats. Then Footprints on Tuesday, and then this one on Thursday. So this isn't in any of the sets, but they have a print of it, and it's relatable to House of Psychotic Women, so it made the cut. And that's great. Okay, great. So let's look at the sets you can get. You can go to Fab Press, and that's where you can buy House of Psychotic Woman directly. I believe that's the publisher. This is a paperback. I believe it's going to be available to buy through Fab Press in October. I don't remember. Let's try this. Usually I have all my tabs open and ready, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to just sort of do things in real time. And then of course this happens. But okay, so you could get the House of Psychotic Woman rarities collection with the movies Identikit, I Like Bats, Footprints, and The Other Side of the Underneath. So 3 of those 4 movies are put in Fantasia. You could get this the House Key bundle, so 500 of those. So you get the set and the book, Or you can get the baddie bundle. So there's some other stuff. There's a tote bag. There's a little poster for I Like Bats. And then various identikit things that I'm not going to get into. Okay, so this is it right here. What's it available? Oh, so it's to be published in August. So I was wrong. And it has this little CD here. Okay. This is all taking far too long to load. Isn't that great? Okay, we're not doing all that. I'm not going to look at the book. I'm not showing you these pictures. But this is great. This is Fat Press. Neat things. Okay. So let's get into the book. So the first book, or the first movie mentioned in the book, is in the preface. And it's one she clearly likes, because we hear about it again. So I'm just going to throw up an image on it, then I'll read the quote, and I'll have some sort of reaction. So, Possession. Okay. So, on Possession, page 6. My relationship with this film caused me to look at what kinds of warnings, or in some cases reinforcements, I was getting out of other films in which disturbed or neurotic woman figured greatly. Over the past 10 years, so that's like 2002, I started keeping a log of these films, accompanied by rambling, incoherent notes and occasionally web pages. Oh. I have drawers full of these scribblings. They're spilling out of manila envelopes in my closets, and they're all pieces of a puzzle that I had to figure out how to put together. But my starting point was a question, and that question presented itself easily. I wanted to know why I was crazy, and what happens when you feed crazy with more crazy. Oh. Alright. So, I don't know. I don't remember the context in this. But it was somehow related to Possession. Oops. Okay. So that's a pretty... one thing I'll say about this book is it's pretty intense. You know, Kayla's... I met her for the first time on this trip. The first leg of my Montreal trip. But I've interviewed her on Zoom, and I will tell you, she's very intense. And then when I met her in person, I could see she's also quite introverted. And that intensity is burning within. If you just saw her walking down the street, you may not know what's going on. But when you read this book, and then you meet her, I don't know. I felt like it was very different than the first two interviews, where I was a little scared shitless at times. I'm not going to lie. But this time, I felt like things were in a different position. Or because I knew things about her, it's not I had leverage on her over her, nothing like that. It was I had more context for some some things. Let's just say that. Okay, some things. Okay, great. So while reading this book, I felt like it was very intense. And if you listen to my interview with Kayla about this book, which is up right now on this YouTube channel, which I would love for you to subscribe to, and follow me on everything, Instagram, Twitter, all these things. I'm the movie mystic on everything. But when we talk about, I talked about how I was listening to an audiobook about Sun Ra while reading this book, and it got a little intense sometimes. Brilliant minds sometimes, crazy personalities, she says right here. So, I want to know why I was crazy, and what happens when you feed crazy with more crazy. Those are her words. Okay. So, that was something to do with Possession, which I don't have the context for anymore. And I apologize. Okay. And now, Horror Express. So, we got direct quotes to Horror Express. This is going to be fun. We're going to shut these tabs down. Everything's going to be IMDb, baby. No, I don't want to see the Arrow video thing. I want to see the poster. Google Images might be more friendly for us. Express. Oh. Forget you, IMDb. Okay, here's the next picture. Really awful movies.com. Let's get that nice picture. All right, we'll zoom it right there. Okay. So this is on Horror Express, page 9, and this is part 1. It's not chapter 1, it's part 1 to 10, and then the reviews, and then there's the preface. So there's, and then there's like a conclusion to a concluding part. So on Horror Express, page 9, as a means of illustrating my early predilection for horror films, I have always told people that my first awareness of being alive is watching the Granada Benmar co-production Horror Express, starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as rival anthropologists stuck on a trans-Siberian train with a recently reanimated alien life form, and perhaps more unnervingly, Telly Savalas. Horror Express will play a pivotal role in my development, and watching it is like my first fully formed cognitive memory. But my very first memory is more fragmented, more abstract, and it'll be over a decade before its meaning will become apparent. And we're going to get to that in this presentation. Knowing what I know now, it doesn't make for a pleasant conversation, which is why Horror Express has usurped its place in all pre-existing interviews or documentation on my formative years. So, I think I don't even know what my first memories are. Maybe walking around the house. Maybe playing in the... I remember across the street from where I lived, there was a little sandbox, a little playground, a little sandbox, and chill with my mom. Maybe that's my first memory. Hers being a horror movie is pretty intense. We're talking about crazy feeling crazy. That's hardcore, man. If you're 4 years old watching a Horror Express, good grief. But that's what that is. All right. So now part 2. Aha. So all these movies that I'm quoting, I have seen, except for this one. Oh, it's Amazon. We don't need that. Let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. Give me that. I have not seen an Andy Milligan movie. Well, no. I have seen Andy Milligan movies, but I haven't seen this one. Let's not give us a big picture. Let's try IMDb. Okay. Let's not try IMDb. Let's just leave it right here. The Amazon link. Okay. So, we're talking about the movie The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here. So, page 16, part 2. Staten Island filmmaker Andy Milligan's The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here centers on the Moonies, an eccentric family living in a decrepit Victorian household, or a circle with hereditary lycanthropy. Although the family has a dying patriarch as their focal points, the men of the family, including middle brother Mortimer and youngest son Malcolm, are subject to the whims of the 3 distinctly typed females. Phoebe, the eldest sister and self-appointed mother figure, Monica, the sadistic and attention-starved middle sister, and Diana, the youngest and only educated sister, who is also the most emotionally stable and born of a different mother than the others. Sent to medical school abroad so that she could continue her father's delicate genetic experiments, any hope of cleansing the family bloodline lies in her hands. Given its predetermined fate on the grindhouse circuit, and produced by renowned exploitation kingpin William Mishkin, who funded the funds for most of Milligan's pictures, The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here, is more expertly written than might be expected. Milligan's obsession with Jean Cocteau is manifest in the female characterizations. Even Diana, the level-headed one of the bunch, reveals herself to be just as manipulative and murderous as her sisters. Rats is ostensibly a werewolf film, the Rats subplot only existing as a half-baked attempt to cash in on the then recent success of Willard. Good movie. One even gets a nod in the form of blatant on-screen references. But it's actually a thinly veiled examination of repression and inbreeding. The family lives together, feeds together, kills together, and then will die together. They are suspicious of outsiders and bound by a dire family curse they have reason to be. Okay. They're suspicious of others, and bound by dire family curse, they have reason to be. They are not especially trusting of one another, but given that they cannot fraternize freely with others, they have no choice but to maintain a volatile family loyalty. All right, so at this point, we sort of learn about the family dynamics. Kier-La was adopted, right, and had a lot of different foster mothers. She had a brother. She had a different sister. The sister we're going to get to. I'm not sure if I have a direct quote about the brother, but yeah, that is that write up is analogous, certainly, to the point we are in this book, which is early years of Kier-La's life. Okay, so so we're still on part 3. I got a few from part 3. Usually I just got one quote from each chapter, but at the later part I didn't get as many from different things, so so this is what I have. So we're going to talk about some Robert Altman movies. So I'm going to look at Images 1972. There are various films, but I'm just going to lay it on this thing right here. We'll go to Letterboxd, why not? That's good enough. Okay. So, this is on Robert Altman, page 17. Robert Altman made 4 films that are generally referred to as his feminine quartet. That Cold Day in the Park, Images, 3 Women, and Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean. 2 of which, 3 Women and the earlier Images, deal specifically with manufactured familial relationships and the concept of the double. Both also bear striking similarities to Ingmar Bergman's 1966 feature Persona. You gotta like that movie. It would be safe to say that this period is Altman's darkest hour in terms of exposing the frailties of identity and the inconsistencies of emotion. And these 2 films are the closest Altman would come to making an outright horror film. That Cold Day in the Park was a more subtle approach to the psychosis that would be full-blown in its 2 successors. Images is the more self-referential of the 2, thrashing about between chaos and tranquility, between light and dark, expression and repression, all the while returning to the literal puzzle with so many missing pieces. That functions as an analogy for the film as a whole. Okay. What can I say about that? I think Persona is awesome. I've seen Images of 3 Women. I haven't seen the other 2. And I would highly recommend them. I mean, these are like sort of like horror analogous, but certainly thematically consistent with the kind of movies that Kier-La explores in the book. She even reviews Spencer, that Kristen Stewart Princess Diana movie that came out last year. That was a surprise. I remember reading her tweet saying that she was thinking about doing that, and what were people thinking? Huh? Well, either they liked it or they didn't, but it's in the book. Anyways. So yeah, I said there was a foster sister, or a stepsister, whatever you want to say, like another woman she grew up with during, early adolescence or adolescence, whatever. So we're going to talk about another movie. I'll just go to Letterboxd. We can just stay on Letterboxd. It's a good time. You can follow me, Movie Mystic. There I am. I tell you, I'm Movie Mystic on everything. Movie Mystic 2022 on Instagram. Movie_Mystic on Twitter. Boom. Okay, so Sisters is a movie I'm a big fan of. I love the Bernard Herrmann score. I've interviewed the producer of this movie, Edward Preston. You can find that on my Fantasia playlist on this YouTube channel. I also interviewed Paul Hirsch, the editor of this movie. I've interviewed him twice. And then, if you listen to our interview on Bernard Herrmann, which you really should, he talks about how he was responsible for bringing Bernard Herrmann back to Hollywood for his kind of swan song period, where he scored It's Alive by Larry Cohen. And then Taxi Driver was his last one, but before those 2, he did Sisters and then Obsession. And I did an interview with Paul Hirsch all about that, and you should really check it out. Anyways, so on page 20, Soon, Grace's investigation, that's the protagonist and sisters, turns up an old film reel that reinforces her suspicions that Danielle has a twin. Danielle and Dominique Blanchon were famous Siamese twins who spent a long time under supervision at the Louis Institute in Canada. Danielle was the feminine, submissive sister, and Dominique her belligerent other. Dr. Pierre Melius, being interviewed for the reel about the psychological challenges faced by the twins, explains that while most of his colleagues think Dominique is a truly disturbed one, I think they will find that Danielle, who is so sweet, so responsive, so normal as opposed to her sister, can only be so because of her sister. The unexpected coda to this revelation is that Dominique has been dead for some time as a result of a botched attempt to separate the twins, propelled further to find out the truth that Danielle, behind Danielle, her subby husband Emile, and the murderer she knows she saw. Grace follows the couple to a sprawling house in the country, which she discovers, too late, to be a private mental clinic run by none other than Emile himself. Grace is stumbled into a trap. Emile convinces the staff that she is recently admitted patient with delusions of being a reporter. She is drugged up and put under hypnosis and led into the film's climactic, horrifying flashback sequence, wherein she's posited as a stand-in for the long-dead Dominique, the unwanted sister. She was a burden to Danielle, who only wanted to be normal, get married, and have babies. But Danielle is not normal, and her longing for normalcy is what caused her most debilitating emotional aberration. She thinks that to get rid of Dominique is the answer, but even the separation surgery deliberately played out like a grotesque castration, and mirrored in the literal castration of the men in the film, cannot dispose of the monstrosity that Dominique represents to the seemingly perfect Danielle. The only way I can save you is to separate you from Dominique, Camille says. But he could not have predicted the outcome of this tragic operation. Danielle could never let go of Dominique. She compensated for the immense void by imagining Dominique still be alive, by becoming her in ferocious spurts that can only be subdued by constant reliance on medication. The tagline for the film was, "What the devil hath joined together, let no man cut asunder." But any evil here is relative. The beauty of the Doppelganger film is that it celebrates the necessity of darkness. When I was a teenager, my sister Karen, that's what we're talking about, returned for visits more regularly after she had a child that my parents tentatively adopted. I babysat for her occasionally and tried to be girlish and sisterly, but our relationship was never the same as the one that had always existed in my head. See this. Here's an analogy. We were nothing alike after all, even though I long held on to this notion that she was instrumental in shaping me. I still remember my disappointment when we went on a road trip as adults, and I brought out CDs of old albums she had left behind for me all those years ago. The Sweet, Alice Cooper, Stories, Black Sabbath, only to have her not recall any of the songs. As much as I looked at them as emblematic of our second connection, they had meant nothing to her. And her absence had created a fictional sibling, just as I had created the man with green eyes. Oh, this is cool. Out of the Argentinian bit part player bearing little resemblance to the monster in my closet. When I finally saw Horror Express again as a teenager and realized it was the film that had spawned my nightmares, I was surprised to learn that the monster's eyes were red, not green. A conversation with my mother provided the reasons for my confusion. I had seen the film on black and white television. His eyes were only green in my imagination. Okay, so we go back to the Horror Express stuff, and you can see the analogy is very clear there. She views herself. It's which sister she views herself. I think she's cool though. I think she's the other one. That's my opinion. Okay, so we're going to go to part 3, page 23, on a very cool Sergio Martino movie, which maybe you know about, maybe you don't. It's called All the Colors of the Dark, and it's cool. Big fan. Okay, let's talk. On All the Colors... okay, right. So page 23. All the Colors of the Dark. Kier-La Janisse. House of Psychotic Women. If you're in Montreal, you can get it today. If not, you gotta wait till August. All right, beautiful. As Jane is increasingly terrorized on all fronts, she comes to realize that the Satanists... So this movie's basically like an Italian Rosemary's Baby. Okay? But, Let's say it's a riff, not a ripoff. All right, great. So let's start again. Okay, as Jane is increasingly terrorized on all fronts, she comes to realize that the Satanists, like the man who has been following her, are connected to her mother's murder years before. In a later sequence, the man following her reveals his purpose. He is a murderer sent by the Satanists to visit retribution upon those who have forsaken them. You have renounced us like your mother, he hisses while no backstory is given on Jane's mother, other than the apparent satanic affiliation. There are clearly efforts to deprive women of their individuality. Jane is made out to be a crazy woman as a means of keeping her dependent, of convincing her that she is incapable of making decisions on her own. The one concrete decision she has made, without the influence of others, is to not officially marry her longtime boyfriend, Richard. While she lives out all the trappings of an unhappy marriage, tolerating his constant absence and even succumbing to his amateur prescriptions, she has denied him legal control over her. But men are not her only problem. Even the other women in the story want to stop her from being independent. The two women who urge her to defy Richard's wishes also betray her. By the end of the film, with several people dead and a mountain of secrets exposed, she is no better off than she was at the start. Her last words of despair, "Oh, darling, help me," when my mother was in her first marriage to Oates. Whoop, ba, ba, ba. She discovered early on that he was cheating on her. Not with one woman, but several. And openly flaunted his affairs to her and her family members, even, according to one of my aunts, pretended girlfriends at the hospital the night my brother was born. Damn. That's cold. He was condescending and emotionally manipulative. And when one of my uncles confronted my father, asking why he didn't just divorce my mother, if he found marriage so restrictive, my father said, "Oh, that would be too easy." Oh my God. Continuing on to admit that he looked forward to driving my mother crazy. Damn, gulp. Supposedly, he went so far as to enlist someone to lurk outside the windows of the house when my mother was home alone in an attempt to scare her out of her wits. He would have been a perfect giallo husband. Damn, what do you say to that? When you can find parallels to All the Colors of the Dark, that's scary. That is quite scary, guy. Good movie, though. And, okay. Now we're going to talk about another movie, sort of briefly. The last two were long quotes. We're going back to short quotes. It's by one of my favorite directors, a man I met in person at the Berlinale, Mr. Abel Ferreira. And we're going to talk about this movie, Miss 45. Because what else? What do you think? It's to be Bad Lieutenant, Kid of New York? You crazy? These don't. Okay, never mind. All right. So, Miss 45. Of course, we have a little rape revenge content. So, this is page 28. Part 4, page 28. We're done with part 3. So, we had 3 parts of part 3. We had Andy, what was it? Yeah, Andy Milligan. We had Robert Altman. And then we had Sisters. Brian De Palma. All right, page 28 on Miss 45. The film that had the biggest impact on me, and which sealed any doubt I had about being a rape revenge fan, was Abel Ferreira's Miss 45, aka Angel of Vengeance. I'd seen clips of it watching Terror in the Isles, a popular horror compilation that also first introduced me to Gary Sherman's amazing Vice Squad. And the image of a young woman in a nun's habit, blessing each bullet with a kiss before putting it into the magazine of her weapon, immediately set me on a hunt for the film. I would not be disappointed. Miss 45 is the most enjoyable and fulfilling rape revenge film that follows the standard genre trajectory. So the other ones I can think of are Thriller, aka Cruel Picture, aka The Color One Eye, Swedish portal revenge movie, which is incredibly crass, calculated, brutal, effective, maybe by accident, but a completely cynical commercial ploy showing off rape and discomfort. But then you hate the people who do that so much, it does ultimately work as a good plot device, while being perhaps indefensible, reprehensible, whatever it is. And then I Spit on Your Grave, I have a hard time watching as well. Well, I mean, all these movies are inherently going to be a hard watch when you use rape as a plot device. It's going to highly trigger a lot of people. But in this film, basically it's like half an hour of setup, half an hour of a woman being raped in the woods, and then half an hour of her brutally murdering the men who did this, including castrating the guy in the tub, handing someone with Down syndrome. Pretty fucked up stuff. Oh, sorry. Excuse my language. Pretty messed. Miss 45 is maybe the cleanest of those three, while incredibly brutal. Abel Ferrara actually plays a rapist in this movie, too. And it basically takes the Dirty Harry Death Wish vigilante trope and feminizes it and deals with, a woman who has been sexually abused and then gets revenge out of the streets. There's a film, Blade of Fantasia, which is similar. I would say it completely neatly fits into this subgenre, but it's called Compulsus, and it is about a woman who kind of beats up guys who are sexually inappropriate. But there's no rape. She doesn't kill them. But she kind of like lives as a legend, like in Miss 45. Or, just like Miss 45, I would say. Because the other two are specific incidents and then specific acts of revenge, while still being vigilantes. So that's what. So obviously, if you're going to look at horror movies about neurotic women, you have to at least touch on the rape revenge genre, as uncomfortable as it is for me to talk about. Anyways, we're going to talk about another movie now. Thankfully, that's that ends that part of the stream. We're going to talk about another movie that actually Severed put out on Blu-ray. In fact, I don't see why not. We can go to Severed's site, and I can show you this. This is a really good movie, and I also interviewed producers of this film, so you can look up for that. You can look that up, but I forget their names, so that's not helpful. But I did it in like November or December. Wait, no, it's with John Allen Simon and someone else. But if you look up John Allen Simon, right here, and Michael O'Keefe, you're going to find it. Elizabeth Carr, I believe, is the other producer. Anyways, it's a very good film. Instead of looking at the description, I was going to show you the features. It's not a lot, actually. Yeah, Elizabeth Carr. That was the other lady. I could play the trailer, but I'm not going to. Okay, so this is on part 5. Out of Blue. Okay, Out of the Blue. Okay, page 42. Dennis Hopper's Out of the Blue was one of these films whose artistic center was a knockout performance by such a character. Sammy Barnes, played by Linda Mans, who held the same iconic status in my eyes as Christy McNichol. Out of the Blue was already in production when Dennis Hopper took over duties as director, and suffered from bad reviews on its first run, despite being nominated for the Palme d'Or in 1980. Many reviewers have since changed their tune about it, and now see its improvisational realism as one of its greatest assets, rather than a meandering laziness it had been suspected of previously. That said, the film was far from perfect, with a somewhat choppy script co-written by Leonard Yacker, who directed the fantastic Canadian short film Main Street Soldier in 1972, and an abrupt ending that takes some time to sink in. A young tomboy named Sebi turns to the chaotic dogma of punk rock when her hero Elvis dies. Her father, played by Dennis Hopper, is in jail, and Sebi is left living with her promiscuous junkie mother. She doesn't have any friends, is constantly hit on by the mother's gross male companions, and idolizes her relationship with her absent father. The film was made in 1980, but the setting is a few years earlier. It starts on or shortly after August 16th, 1977, the day Elvis died. The marketing campaign for Out of the Blue stresses its punk rock affiliation with the tagline, "The only adult she admires is Johnny Rotten." But originally the film was about a girl, her dad, and the death of the king. Any trappings of punk in the film were added upon shooting in Vancouver, when Hopper noted the cohesiveness of the punk scene there and the young star's identification with it. So, what you get as a result of the meshing, meshing Neil Young's music, whose song was the film's namesake, with the adulation of Elvis and the Sex Pistols in the narrative, is an interesting reimagining of what punk is: alienation, nihilism, rebellion. If Punk is all of these things, a response to one's environment as opposed to a musical era or genre. It's not too crazy to see how these characters all fit together. Yeah. So the film's very good. It was the third film that Dennis directed. First being Easy Rider. The second being The Last Movie, which was also re-released recently. Well, somewhat recently, like a few years ago. And it was also a movie panned. And as was this one, if you are a fan of John Cassavetes movies, I think you will really like Out of the Blue. It's a really gritty, sort of, riffing, improvisational movie, which is not necessarily my favorite type, but I certainly do enjoy that style. And this movie's quite good. And all these things that she mentions, like the punk rock, the rebellion, the gross parents, that's all Kier-La, like all interwoven in a synopsis of a Dennis Hopper movie. All right, so part 6. Angel. Whoa. So I forgot to talk about Angel. That's cool though. Angel 6. The 84 version. Very, very good movie. I highly recommend the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, but not necessarily the other ones. I had the box set. I would have been just fine with this movie, but I had a box set. This is cool too. Yeah, the other two suck, but this was really good. So, all right, there you go. I don't. Maybe it's on the. You can look at the features on the Vinegar Syndrome site. This is what I'm talking about. Oh, you should act fast. Only 718 left in stock. So you get some interviews. They're really good. And I recommend it. Oh, jeez. Okay. We'll just stick with this. Stick with this. The hand in the movie. Okay. So page 50. On Angel. Movie Angel, part 6. Okay, so at this point, she's in like some juvie group home, or not group home, but she's in some sort of juvie system. It's like, all girl prisoners, adolescents. Or it's like a shelter. It's pretty dark at this point in the story. Kier-La definitely had a rough time sometimes. So, on one day, a new girl arrived, and she was assigned to my cell. Her name was Kim, and she was a 15-year-old Satan-worshipping prostitute. I had never met a real Satan worshiper before. I still haven't. And I most certainly had never met a teenage prostitute. Once I realized she wasn't the type to get violent with me, I brought her with questions. I'd seen Angel and read the book of Christine F. And while it wasn't really the life I wanted, I felt something romantic in the street life despair of it all. The story of Christine F. It's Christine Flescher and now. She's German, yeah. First came to the public eye in 1978 when a couple of writers for a German news magazine were interviewing her because she was a witness in a court case, testifying against a man who had paid underage girls with heroin for sexual favors. She was 15 at the time of the interview, and the initial 2-hour session turned into several months of interviews that eventually became Christine F's autobiography. Autobiography of a Child Prostitute Drug Addict, which came out in 1979. Before the book was published, these reporters read a series of articles about her in Stern magazine, so by the time her book came out, she was already famous. Okay. So she'd seen Angel and sort of relates to this prisoner, or cellmate, I should say, and then we're talking about like a German street girl. So this movie is basically about a young woman, high school, honor student by day, Hollywood hooker by night. And she's quite young. So that's what that movie is. And there's like a serial killer, okay? There's a serial killer. And it gets pretty intense. As intense as that sounds, it's actually done as tastefully as I think it should be done. We don't get, like, really... There's this... It's obviously a very sexualized movie, but we don't get huge sex scenes, and with the murder mystery sort of thrown in there too, and obviously the moral component. I thought this movie balanced a lot of things surprisingly well. So that's what I got to say about Angel. And I'm not surprised Kier-La thought it was cool. Okay, so now we talk about a really, 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 really good movie. The Whip in the Body. So I have things to say, but I'm going to hold off. This is by Mario Bava. Sorry, Christopher Lee. So we're on part 7, page 57. On The Whip in the Body. Italian director Mario Bava's violent excesses and essentially amoral nature of his films have historically relegated his work in the eyes of film scholars to the realm of exploitation. It is only in the last decade that his work has been reevaluated in an academic arena, and his films recognized for their often progressive, although not always sympathetic, attitude towards gender issues. Although well-versed and influential in practically every genre, his seminal work in the area of gender politics remains his 1963 gothic horror film The Whip in the Body, based on a script by Giallo master Ernesto Gastaldi. Gastaldi also wrote All the Colors of the Dark. Sorry, side note. Bava's The Whip in the Body was one of several films that resulted from a flurry of activity at the time. Example, Evil Eye, Blood of Black Lace, and Black Sabbath. Foregoing the modern giallo in favor of a return to the gothic terrain of his breakthrough film, Black Sunday, aka The Mask of Satan, The Whip in the Body is arguably Bava's best and most complex movie. Okay, so there's a lot to say here. So this movie is very BDSM centered. Christopher Lee is a dom, and the woman is his submissive. He really does a number on her mind. It really brainwashes her. He kind of comes back at a time where it's the most inconvenient for him to come in because she's about to be married to someone else, and her passion remains with him, and he's been off for years, allegedly just being debaucherous. It's all we ever hear. He's definitely an unwelcomed character when he comes back. And Christopher Lee's very handsome in this movie. Christopher Lee's a very dorky guy. So to see him do that is cool. When I talked to Kayla during our interview, you will maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but I talked to her about why I thought it was great that she started championing The Whip in the Body, because I feel like this is a movie I needed permission to like even more than I did, or to sort of even just boldly say, hey, you want to know my favorite Mario Bava movie? Okay, you're asking, certainly unlikely you to be asking that when you see me walking around the city, but maybe we're talking at a bar or whatever, we're just hanging out, talking about one movie buff to another. And I'm going to tell you, The Whip in the Body is my favorite Bava movie. I think it's just so emotionally compelling. Obviously, the other movies are really well constructed from, cinematically, visually, let's just say. But in terms of like emotion and theme and sort of something going on, something subversive, something wild, yeah, The Whip in the Body, man, it's sweet. It's really intense. Certainly, some forbidden fruit, to be certain, and. She relates it a little bit more to her own life, which I didn't feel quite comfortable talking about. She talks about how she kind of wants, men will fear her, and she doesn't really like that. She kind of, through the book, she talks about like challenging things, getting into fights, being a little pugnacious. Being pugnacious. I'm not gonna be the coward this time. And sort of seeking a dom in a sense, which is certainly extreme. I would argue, though, it's not as extreme as your reaction might indicate if it's a negative one, because there's so much anxiety attached to romance that sort of role-playing can be helpful or clear out some things, or as long as it's consensual, of course. As long as it's consensual. Anyways, I had to tell her that, I appreciated her talking about that, and of course it fits in to the House of Psychotic Women book very nicely. The next movie is Cat People. There's two versions, but it's not the Paul Schrader 1982 remake. It is the original Jacques Tourneau, Val Lewton produced 1942 horror movie, Cat People. So Yeah, this is obviously this is in the movie, right? The erotic woman, all these things, horror movie. So we'll get a long-ish quote here. So this is part 8, page 70. So we're talking about cat people. So few films, and even fewer horror films, convey the true tragedy of jealous obsession. Jacques Tourneau's original Cat People is almost unique in its sympathetic depiction of a woman haunted by the fear of her own jealousy. French actress Simone plays Irina, a Serbian fashion designer living alone in New York City. One day, while sketching the caged panther at the Central Park Zoo, she strikes up an acquaintance with an engineer named Oliver, played by Ken Smith, and invites him up to her apartment for tea. An interior seats left over from Wells's The Magnificent Ambersons. Okay. Where she confesses that he is the first friend she has ever had. The two find themselves in wedded bliss only a short time later. Despite her declarations of love, however, Irina is hesitant to consummate their marriage. She holds deeply ingrained superstitious beliefs, claiming that her village in Serbia was cursed, following a dark period in which its inhabitants engaged in witchcraft and shapeshifting. As a result, she has spent her life alone, afraid to contaminate anyone else with the curse that follows her from her distant homeland. Her husband insists that she see a psychiatrist to cure her of these beliefs, and for a brief time, she agrees enthusiastically. It is only when she undergoes hypnosis with a psychiatrist, Dr. June, that the true nature of her fears is revealed. As he explains, you told me of your village and the people and their strange beliefs, and the Catwoman of your village too. You told me of them. Women who, in jealousy or anger, or out of their own corrupt passions, can change into great cats like panthers. And if one of these women were to fall in love, and if her lover were to kiss her and take her into his embrace, she would be driven by her own evil to kill him. That's what you believe and fear, isn't it? Let that settle in for a second. So, yeah, I find like a concept like this is pretty great, like cinematically, or or any book, like when you just take fantasy, a fantastic thing. Like this is a horror movie, but like a fantastic thing, something that's impossible. It is like expressing something real that's you can confront it through this wild supernatural concept, and yeah, it's cool. And you can see why she's afraid of the. Well, yeah, you can see how this is code for her life. Having listened to this presentation, I think it's apparent. It's coded though. All right, so we got one more quote. We almost made it to an hour. Pretty intense. I'm starting to get a little loopy myself. But I hope you've been having fun. I hope you consider scooping up the book if this conversation has been interesting to you. It's a monologue, really. So we're talking about a Canadian movie appropriately. She's Canadian, I'm Canadian. Doing this in Canada. Just came back from a wonderful Canadian Film Festival, the Fantasia Fest, which you should certainly check out if you like genre movies and you live close by. Check out their site. I'll kind of guide you. You go to Fantasia Festival. Maybe speak English, maybe speak French. You can, go to French right here. Top right hand corner. Go to Festival 2022. Click schedule. Still got 2 weeks left. It's not too late. Just click. Select the date. Look at this. 18 days. A lot of successful. And, click away, look at what's playing. New movies, some old movies, you're going to have a good time. If you like genre movies, you're gonna find the right audience at Fantasia Fest. So The Brood. Okay, we're going to talk about The Brood. Let's get this, I think it's a big-ass quote. It's not massive or anything. Okay, so this is part 9, and I got nothing for the conclusion or part 10. So this is my last quote. Okay, so page 76 on The Brood. Let's go back to the official definition of hysteria. the bodily expression of unspeakable distress in genre films. This is where things get most interesting. In David Cronenberg's The Brood, Art Hindle stars as Frank Carveth, the exasperated husband of Nola, played by Samantha Eggar, a neurotic woman who sets herself into the Soma-Free Institutes for experimental therapy with Dr. Hal Raglan. Screenwriter Oliver Reed, also of The Devils. Raglan, the author of a popular self-help book called The Shape of Rage, is a proponent of unconventional psychotherapeutic method called psychoplasmics, in which past traumas, when discussed openly, manifest themselves in the form of sores and abrasions on the patient's body as the trauma is being expelled. A very literal take on Freud's talking cure, though which hysterical patients can be cured by confronting the thing making them ill, which is still the foundation for psychological treatment today. An exaggeration of the common stress-induced hives or rashes, psychoplasmics is nonetheless a dangerous game. Because what Nola is expelling from her body during these sessions aren't just toxins. They're repository rage monsters, faceless children who kill all those who have ever hurt her. Yeah. Pretty crazy. That's some House of Psychotic Women stuff for you right there. If you want to hear me talk about Cronenberg more, you could go to a stream I did recently, which I'm just looking it up right now. It's called Crimes of the Future and Why David Cronenberg is the best thing going on in Canada. And I stand by that. But Kier-La Janisse is awesome too. And that book really rocked me, man. I was reading something else, like I said, and I put it down to do this. And I'm glad I was able to bring you this presentation today. Tempted to play the trailer for the House of Psychotic Women Rarities Collection box set. Even though I have permission, so that I get hit up because there's things within it. Like, several would give you permission to do it, but like there's things within it, there's tracks within it that I might not have permission to play. So I did a stream somewhere. What was it? Which one was it? Oh yeah, it was a month ago. It was called 7 Film Boxes That I Do Want. And again, Sever gave me permission to play all the trailers. And they hit me with that. And then I got permission from another distributor to play some clips from Neptune Frost. And I got really hit badly with copyright. It was like the thing was just off. Was off for a while. You couldn't even click it. It was going to be demonetized. Not that this shit was monetized. I don't make any cheddar off this as of yet. But, I mean, that wasn't great. I've just been making these presentations since then, just reading things. And, as it stands, I might just kind of keep it that way. It's kind of a bummer. I would love to share that with you. But you can just go to severfilms.com and you can check it out on yourself. All by yourself. So I think it's playing. That'd be fun, huh? But I'm so still annoyed that I have given up on this double bill played tomorrow at the Quebecois Cinematheque, which if you go to, and you want to make me jealous, you can do it. You can send me a DM anywhere and show a picture of yourself there, and I'm going to be jealous of you. So, Eudaimonia, a studied sort of obsessive love that brings the contrasting traditions of rural southern Italy to life amidst a classic tale of the monstrous feminine. So, that fits in nicely with House of Psychotic Women and all the Haunts BRs. A set that I do want, but I'm afraid of the price tag. And that's all the folk horror stuff. It's the, Kier-La did a documentary, which you should all check out, that I've interviewed her about, which I've talked about profusely over the past year, called Woodland Dark and Days Bewitched. It looks at the history of folk horror cinema. So yeah, the double bill is Eudaimonia and I Like Bats. Slashes of black comedy combined with jolts of old school horror for a slightly contemporary take on the female bloodsucker mythos. And that is a good time. I thought I would quickly go through where some of these movies are available on Blu-ray, if some of them pique your fancy. They're all good flicks. So let's Possession first. Possession Blu-ray. So, imports. Cuts. This is Mondovision. Oh, limited to 2000. So it doesn't look like we could get one in North America right now. It's out of stock on Vinegar Syndrome site. Of course. Okay. And the second movie we looked at is called Horror Express on Blu-ray. Arrow Video put it out. I hope it's still available. Yeah, it's a little pricey, $42.44 on Amazon's Canadian site. Yeah, that's where, I don't know, savvy Canada eBay. You're gonna find it online. Horror Express, Arrow Video. Something I don't own. It would be cool to have though. And then what do we do next? Oh, so then Andy Milligan box set. You can find, so the Dungeon of Andy Milligan collection, and one of them is the movie we were talking about. Let's see. Yeah, The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here. Disc 4 of the Andy Milligan set. You can find it on Severin's site, severinfilms.com. That's where that is. And then, talked about that. There's a fair amount of Robert Altman movies, so I'm going to actually skip all that. But those are mainstream movies. You should be able to find that pretty easily. Sisters. There's a Criterion Blu-ray of that. If you are in Canada, you get an unobstructed view, and you can get it there. Now available, yeah. So I own this. I do own this. Good times. I don't have the Brood though. You get the Brood on through Criterion. Oh, sorry, that's David Cronenberg. I'm not sure if this is available. I'm jumping around, not going in order, but it is available. Perhaps it's on unobstructed view. I'm not sure. You know, we're jumping the order, but who cares? Okay. The Brood. Oh. Maybe you can get it on Amazon. Yeah, you can get it. Oh, import. I don't know if that's... Is it... Oh, okay, so it's with the States. So you'll be able to play it in Canada. Okay. And then... we got... All the Colors of the Dark. You can find that... There was a set... All the Colors of the Dark, All the Colors of Giallo. If I just search this, you'll see. So these two things. I have a little box set with that. I have this t-shirt too. Be jealous of me. Feel my flex. But you can't go wrong with this, man, because the soundtrack is there. It's a very sleepy, dreamy soundtrack. By who's it by? I don't know. I forget. Maybe it's it's Bruno Nicolai. Yeah, it says right there. Bruno Nicolai. Well, right. With possibly one of the best horror scores of all time, Bruno Nicolai. So yeah, can't go wrong with that. And then we did Miss 45. I don't know. Miss 45 Blu-ray. I don't think that's on Blu-ray. No. Import. Blu-ray import. Is that a British one? Who put this out? Is it available? Currently unavailable. So you can't get it. It's import from where? This is Draft House. It's British. It's British. Which region? This is a British one. Okay, I'm quite certain. So if you get an international player, you can still not buy this movie because it's not available on Amazon. Okay. Oh, then Out of the Blue. That is Severin. We were there earlier. Can't go wrong with it. Really good movie. So there's a 4K and a Blu-ray, blah 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 blah. Lots of features, lots of interviews. I mean, there's a lot to say about Dennis Hopper. So, and then I showed you on Vinegar Syndrome's site, you get Angel. And I don't recommend the sequels as someone who owns the Angel box set. Yeah, so Vinegar Syndrome. And there's, so none have sold during this stream, but there is still only less than 1,000 on their site. So I highly recommend that one. The One with the Body. I do not own this on Blu-ray. So I don't know if Arrow put it out or don't know. Who put it out? Let's find out on Blu-ray.com. It says it's bad. Oh yeah, Kino Lorber put it out a while ago, and they gave it a not great. What now? Video quality. They gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, but they don't like genre movies at Blu-ray.com. I'm not sure if this is still available though. So we're on Canadian Amazon. Let's see if it's here. The Whip and the Body. All right. Let's see. Okay, so you can get it. That's sweet. That's great. Only 4 left though. More on the way, but I have to wait a bit. So I made this the thumbnail. The thumbnail for this stream is an image from The Whip and the Body. So I highly recommend that one, obviously. And then Cat People. I think, yes, Shout Factory put it out. This is the remake. The Paul Schrader one. And then, yeah, Criterion. Okay, so Criterion put it out. I think they did Cat People 2, Shout Factory. The Curse of the Cat People. I want to be right. So who put this out? Tell me I'm right. Who's this here? Shout Factory. So I'm right. There it is. Okay. Yeah, good movie. I highly recommend that. All these movies I recommend. And then we showed you where we can get the Brood. So I think I'm done, man. Been talking for an hour. It's been fun. It's always been fun, but it's time to go, guys. So check out Kier-La Janisse in Montreal in person if you are lucky enough to. If not, maybe you should consider scooping up the book if you can. Missing ticket. I enjoyed it. I did find it rough sometimes. Well, I found it rough all the times. Sometimes I could bear it. And then you can just put it down. Just a book. Don't worry. So I do recommend the book under advisement. And I recommend all those Blu-rays right there. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Take care. Be well.